Hey everyone, let's talk about the 1983 film Silkwood, which stars Meryl Streep as the title character. This film is based on a true story of Karen Silkwood, who worked at a plutonium processing plant in Oklahoma. And this film is very good. It's a drama, certainly a drama, fairly serious film. Directed by Mike Nichols, this film actually was nominated for 5 Academy Awards. It did not win any of them, as you might have guessed. Meryl Streep did get a nomination for Best Actress, and Cher also got a Best Supporting Actress nomination. Somewhat surprisingly, this film did not receive a Best Picture nomination, but keep in mind there were only normally 5 nominees in that category back then. So Kurt Russell stars in a supporting role. So basically what happens is that Meryl Streep's character Silkwood, she becomes a whistleblower, and then later a labor union activist, as she and a few others travel to Washington, D.C. to try to form a labor union. And things start to happen where she starts to get noticed by the company, and obviously they don't take real kindly to her, whether it's pointing things out or trying to organize the union. So that becomes the main external conflict in this movie, and that's our vocab for today. External conflict is a personal and individual struggle between the central character and another character, or between the central character and some non-human force, such as fate, society, or nature. So in this particular case, it would be the second part of that definition. The external conflict is between the central character, Karen Silkwood, and the non-human force, which in this case would really be the corporation. And speaking of the corporation, upon doing some research, I was kind of surprised that they actually used the real name of the company, Kurt McGill, in the film. And I noticed at the beginning it said that they were going into work at the Cimarron facility, and the name Cimarron just kind of brought a light bulb in my head, because there's the famous 1931 Western film Cimarron, which won Best Picture, and also the remake was the 1960 film of the same name, Cimarron. So right when I saw Cimarron, I kind of knew it was based in Oklahoma, this film, Silkwood. So there's many really good scenes in this film. So some of the higher charged emotional scenes have to do with when one of the workers might be contaminated, and they kind of get thrown in, and all their clothes have to be taken off, and then they get washed, and it's portrayed as being quite viciously rubbed and with a scrub, and washed down, and the scrub seems to be very abrasive. So it first happens to one of Silkwood's co-workers, and then later it happens to Silkwood herself. at first when it happened to her coworker, it was a nice scene. She comforted the woman, but later when it happens to Silkwood, you can kind of see the scratches on her face and her body, and it did not look like a very pleasant experience. Another very nice scene is kind of towards the latter part of the film, when Meryl Streep's character and Cher's character have a bit of an argument. They seem to reconcile quickly, and Streep's character is the one. They go on the back porch on a swing, and she kind of gently sings to her Amazing Grace, I believe, and I believe that song comes up towards the end of the film as well. Obviously a beautiful song. So the conflict, obviously, as you can guess, revs up towards the end of the film. It's not 100% clear. I don't want to give too much away, but it kind of, you get the illusion that the company may be doing things to Silkwood that may be causing her to get some false readings or higher readings of contamination from the plutonium than she might actually have. And understandably, this gets into her head, and it causes some problems, certainly. Another really unique part of this, and it doesn't have to do with the plot, but when you're watching a movie, does it ever happen where, especially an older movie, where you see actors in much smaller roles, and then you kind of think about it in your head, and it's like, oh, I think I recognize that person. And most of the time they, actors who become well known quite later in their careers. Now this movie, I think it set a personal record for me in the sense that this happened 5 separate times with 5 different characters, because again, this movie was released in '83, so some of these actors I'm about to reference, I saw them much later, and some were very hard to recognize, so I have to give myself a little credit for that. So Bruce McGill, who is an actor who's done a lot of film and television, he actually has the largest of these roles in the film. He's kind of Silkwood's direct boss, representing the company, so I recognized him. The smallest role was Bill Cobbs, who I know him best from his role in the mid-90s film Air Bud, where he plays the custodian turned coach, basketball coach at the boys' school. So I recognize Bill Cobbs. He was in a very, very small role early in the film in the lunchroom. Very late in the movie, James Rebhorn, another recognizable character actor, he had a small role as a doctor who was testing Silkwood for her levels of plutonium. And the other two, David Strathairn, he was kind of hard to recognize because he had long hair. He was just one of Silkwood's co-workers in the lab in the facility. And the 5th and final one, another one who had a very, very small role, yet somewhat notable in the story, was Will Patton, who you might recognize the name. To some, he might be most recognizable as one of the main character coaches in the well-known film Remember the Titans. But Will Patton's character, this was when Silkwood, towards the beginning, when she first kind of pointed something out that maybe she shouldn't, be pointing things out. So she pointed out basically they were chopping down a truck because evidently the truck had been contaminated. So Silkwood asked Will Patton, Will Patton's character in the film, and he was hard to recognize because he had longer hair as well. But it was a brief exchange, but I recognized him as well. And promptly in that scene, one of her bosses or something essentially told her, to get lost and not ask questions like that. So, if you like a more serious film, somewhat heavy, I would definitely recommend Silkwood. I think it always holds a little more when you know that it's a true story, such as this one. So now I have to give my simple rating of watch it again or once is enough. And I think you can tell with how I've been talking about this movie, this is one I would definitely watch again in the future. So I have to say watch it again. It's just a movie with very good acting, and the actors did a great job, the filmmakers did a great job of just showing how so many of these characters were real people, and whether it was based on a true story or not, this particular story was just very well told. So definitely have to say again for this one, I will definitely watch it again. Definitely a watch it again. So as always, feel free to leave comments on maybe movies you want me to review in the future. If you have any comments whatsoever, positive, negative, in between, I'd love to hear them. If you found this video interesting or fun, I'd appreciate you subscribing. And my book here is, you can find that pretty much only on Amazon. Just search Analyzing 59 Classic Films, and until next time, take care.